So as you know, Ubisoft is in a bit of a predicament, rock in a hard place, bit of a pickle, whatever you want to call it. Ubisoft's in a spot you don't want to be in as a company. Their stock prices are abysmal. They just canceled a bunch of games, including Sands of Time Remake. They delayed a bunch of projects, including the Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake. And they shut down a couple of studios, right? So the sky's been falling over at Ubisoft for a while. It felt like it really caught fire with Star Wars Outlaws, which just undersold and underdelivered in every imaginable metric. But here we are now. Ubisoft shut down these studios, and things are getting a bit rowdy here, right? So let's start with the original story here from Eurogamer. And they say French unions representing workers at Ubisoft have reportedly voted unanimously in favor of strike action following the company's dramatic reset and in response to a voluntary redundancy proposal that could see as many as 200 Paris HQ employees lose their jobs. This story, I'm not laughing at people losing their jobs, of course, but this story is hilarious because we've heard of other companies doing this, and it's basically volunteer to get fired or get fired. It's really crazy. Last week, Ubisoft announced a major organizational, operational, and portfolio reset, resulting in the cancellation of 6 games, including Sands of Time Remake, as well as delays for 7 other titles, and the shutdown of their mobile studio in Halifax and Stockholm, and a mandate to all staff to return to in-office work 5 days a week. Amid all of this, Ubisoft is proposing a voluntary round of redundancies as it seeks to further reduce operating costs, right? Because all of this is done to reduce their operating costs by 200 million euros, I believe the number is here. They say the move, which is being organized under the voluntary rupture conventional collective process, wherein employees can collectively negotiate the mutually agreed termination of a permanent contract and could result in as many as 200 jobs cut at Ubisoft's Paris HQ, which reportedly represents around 18% of the company's Paris HQ workforce that has 100 or 1,100 total employees. Okay, there's now a statement here on the strikes, and that statement here says that on January 21st, 2026, Yves Guillemot announced the end of remote work, closure of several studios, and cancellation of projects in a new 200 million euro cost-cutting plan. We were informed of this at the same time as the press, as none of these changes had been discussed during the mandatory consultations with the work councils for a few days earlier. And so they're saying here, Ubisoft is no more, long live Ubisoft, and they are organizing a strike here, a massive international strike by all Ubisoft employees, February 10th, 11th, 12th. No to their anti-remote work obsession, cost-cutting plans, top-down decisions, coercive control to our working conditions. They say yes to our leaders truly taking their responsibility to management's duty of sincerity in the face of its failings. So they're trying to fight back a little bit here. There was also an article from Le Figaro, which is a French website here that, as you can see, is not translated. However, Hidden One did have a translated screenshot here. And it says, "It's time to make our boss understand that he's not welcome in our offices as long as he continues to mistreat employees," read the leaflet seen by Le Figaro. "We call on Ubisoft Paris employees to walk out as soon as Yves Guillemot sets foot in our offices. Let's leave our workstations and gather at the foot of the building." So he's planning a visit, and no one respects the Ubisoft CEO. They want him out. And I do think this is a situation similar to what I talked about with Xbox a little bit, where a little change might go a long way. Like getting rid of Yves Guillemot and the Guillemot family in general could go a long way for Ubisoft. They've been there for so long. They've mismanaged this whole damn company into the ground. And I talked about it with Xbox, where like, even if Phil, Sarah, and Matt are the last line of defense in what Xbox used to be, their change up there, like not having them as the faces of the company, might give the company a new image to people from the outside looking in. It could also go like Nintendo, where it's just like a new corporate face and it's kind of just like whatever. But let's talk a little bit about the games that are on the way, because the sky is only falling a little bit more here. Jonathan, who is a Ubisoft leaker, among many other things, posted this on his Twitter account. Really quickly, as some background information. Assassin's Creed Invictus is what we're talking about, but there's a ton of other Assassin's Creed games on the way. There's like a witch-style Assassin's Creed game that was leaked. There was another Assassin's Creed game that's more like a traditional RPG one on the way. So there's a lot on the way. That's because Ubisoft, when they started to go under a little bit, greenlit a bunch of Assassin's Creed projects because it's like the one brand they have that, even with like AC Shadows, seems to make some money here. So what is AC Invictus? He says, I introduced this to you guys a little while ago. Invictus will be a sort of Fall Guys version of Assassin's Creed, a somewhat funny game with Fortnite-style graphics featuring a series of challenges that leads to the fabled #1 spot. I told you the concept was dead on arrival and that the game would probably flop. Well, I've got someone from the development team who reached out to me to say that even though they don't believe in it at all and that they're disgusted to be working on this turd. My God. Here are their words, quote, I don't know a single colleague who likes Invictus. Only the managers will probably keep smiling and singing the praises of this project, end quote. It's awful. Ridiculous. I'm sorry. This isn't the end of the quote. The end of the quote's down here. It's awful. Ridiculous animations, hideous and cartoonish characters, their faces are just as awful. Idiotic sound and visual effects, combat arenas. The concept is just plain dismaying. I wonder who this game is even for and why it was made. Maybe it's only meant for kids, 6-year-olds? I have no idea. If that's the case, I pity the parents of those kids who are going to be hounded for money to fuel a fresh wave of microtransactions. So this is where Ubisoft gets in their own way. Right? They have IP people care about. Assassin's Creed is one of them, whether we love or hate Shadows. I think Assassin's Creed is a franchise most of us have some level of fond memories with or good experiences with, but they are such trend chasers, such wave chasers, and they're always late to them, right? Remember when they did Hyperscape? You remember that game? They're like little battle royale attempt, and like the shooting was not bad, the idea wasn't bad, but like they just abandoned it quickly because it didn't take off. That's what this game is going to be here. By the way, this image here, Tom Henderson asked if that's implying what the game actually looks like, and he said, no, not at all. This game's more like Fortnite, a little less cartoonish. Let's say it's somewhere between realistic and cel-shaded. So it's not going to look like Fall Guys. It's not going to look anything like this image right here. But this is what Ubisoft does to themselves, right? They get in their own way, and then the projects that they keep around are ones that probably should be canceled. I don't know anybody who wants this, who goes like, yeah, you know what? That right there, man. That's what I want from Ubisoft. That will get us back on track. But they're thinking money. If this pops off, right? That's all they think about. That's how they justify these things. If this pops off, and this is not just Ubisoft, if it pops off and we make a lot of money, it was worth the risk. But if it fails, whatever. Surprisingly as well, and I'm not saying I want this canceled, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still alive. Insider Gaming exclusively revealed last week, despite being one of Ubisoft's longest in development projects, that Beyond Good and Evil 2 had survived the organizational changes, right? And a spokesperson later confirmed this. They said in a recent LinkedIn post, Beyond Good and Evil 2 creative director Fawzi Mesmer reaffirmed that he and the team and the game are unaffected by the recent changes here. He says, thank you to everyone who has reached out to me over the past few days in regards to the recent Ubisoft news. Myself, my team, and our project Beyond Good and Evil 2 are unaffected by the recent changes. I would direct you to the official press release for more information around the latest organizational structure. Needless to say, I am saddened by the cancellations that have affected my colleagues in other parts of Ubisoft and the industry. I urge everyone, myself included, to offer support whenever and however they can during these times. We remain committed and focused on delivering a remarkable game for our players to enjoy. So this game is somehow still alive. I'm trying to think to myself, like, how and why, right? Like, how and why? My only guess is that they are turning this into like a GTA-like game. Cog and I were talking about this on Defining Duke. Even if this is like the next GTA, no one, like, if I go into a store, I go to Costco and I ask some random mom of 4, hey, do you know GTA, Grand Theft Auto? The answer is probably like, yeah, I've heard of it, right? Or undoubtedly yes, right? I think it's going to be more difficult to find the answer no. Now, if this is designed to be the next GTA, which Ubisoft could totally fool themselves into thinking, if that's the case, if I walked on a store, have you heard of Beyond Good and Evil? They'd be like, what's that book? An anime? What is that? Like, no one knows. So I want the game to deliver, and I want it to be great. But I think what Ubisoft's kind of kept alive and shut down is crazy to me. One thing they have kept alive here is Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake here, where we see there was a leak here for a figure of Edward Kenway. Looks pretty cool. Black Flag Remake has been in the rumor mill for a while. This is presumably one of the games that's been delayed for at least, or at most, a year. We'll see what the actual release date is. But it's been leaked so many times that it's basically confirmed real. Ubisoft's doing that right here, so they answer with the official Assassin's Creed account and go, ah, shit, here we go again, because it's leaking again. And Ubisoft has been snake-bitten in the past with, like, merch-based leaks. Assassin's Creed Odyssey had, like, a keychain leak that confirmed that game before its reveal. So it's possible that this goes down a similar trajectory here, and we see Black Flag remake sometime sooner rather than later, and it wasn't as significantly delayed as we thought it was going to be, because originally the release date, according to Insider Gaming, was like March. It was supposed to go gold next month, but maybe it's delayed into more of like a holiday period. Who knows? But ladies and gentlemen, that's the state of Ubisoft right now. So they have strikes, right? We have strikes. We have people not welcoming this man into his own building like he owns the company. They're like, nope, sorry, you're not welcome here. We have a Fall Guys style Assassin's Creed game. We have a game that's been in development for 17 years living on, and a remake of a game that a lot of people like. Sky is falling, bro.